Okay, so it's definitely been a request to do some piriformis release, and I can't get enough of piriformis release. So the piriformis muscle, it runs between the sacrum, which is base of the spine, but it functions as the pelvis, and then it comes across to the outside of the leg. So if it's tight, it's really going to affect the alignment of the pelvis and the alignment of the leg. The sciatic nerve is different on different people. Sometimes it runs through the piriformis and sometimes it runs just next to the piriformis. But if this muscle is tight, it's going to affect the sciatic nerve, which I can see Kaylee nodding. That's what's happening. So I would say, I think everyone is going to totally benefit from this. If you have acute sciatica, which I know you do, Kaylee, I think this will be a huge, huge benefit. But of course, it's just to take it easy. If something just feels too much, then stop. I'm just going to read this from Babs. My shoulders feel so much more released, not needing to hang on to anything like ribs. Yeah, lovely. Oh, brilliant. Going to do these for my next Facebook Live videos. Great idea. Okay, so we're going to grab Franklin Method balls and then lie down on your back just with the balls in your hands to start with, so we can do a little before and after comparison of how our pelvis and lower back feel. So first of all, just lying down and noticing, okay, how do I feel? How do my piriformis feel? If I don't know quite where my piriformis are, how do my glutes feel? How does my pelvis feel? How does my back feel? And then we're going to pop the two balls underneath pelvis. So if you lift bottom up, place the balls underneath the pelvis. And we're just going to start by having a little bit of a wriggle around. And I would suggest the more slowly you can do this, for me, the better. I feel like my muscles really relax if I move more slowly. And you just intuit this movement. Just whatever feels good to you is great for you. I love it. It feels more intense, but it feels good if I let one knee drop out to the side. So I almost have a bit more body weight onto that Franklin ball. I keep the knee dropped, I keep it bent, and I just have a little bit of a wriggle there. So do you remember we said that the piriformis runs from the sacrum to the leg? So as you're rolling around, just bear that in mind. It runs from your sacrum to your leg. So perhaps you could just roll along that area, roll from the sacrum to the leg. You can even remove the other Franklin ball, so you've literally got all of your body weight onto that one side. It's also a really good idea to move in as many different directions as possible. So side to side, up and down, little circles. So if there's any stuckness in the muscle fibers, you can just give it a chance to become unstuck and to move more freely. Let's spend another 30 seconds here. And notice, what am I thinking? Am I just noticing the pain? Or am I almost trying to reframe it a little bit? So can I imagine my muscles being like putty? Can they soften? Can I imagine that I'm improving the feedback to this part of my body so it can function better? Okay, and then we'll pop the other ball back underneath the bottom if you had removed it, and then do the other side. And notice if there is a difference between the two sides. And there often is. We're not very symmetrical creatures. But if there is a huge difference, then it's probably something that you do want to address. So the piriformis attaches on the inside of the sacrum and then to the outer leg. So if one is much tighter than the other, can you see how that would like it would kind of steer your sacrum in one direction? And the sacrum is the base for the rest of the spine. So it has a huge knock-on effect with the rest of the spine. Okay, and then we will remove both balls. Just place your pelvis down. And then just after that, notice, okay, how am I feeling now? And if you can notice that there's just been a slight improvement or there's something that you're enjoying about this reality, stay with it. Just bathe in that. Maybe it's my pelvis feels wider. It feels fresher. It feels more relaxed. Now, lift your pelvis back up, pop the balls back underneath, but a little bit higher, so more where the SI joints are here. So it's just kind of the top of the pelvis. And then we're going to roll the pelvis forwards and backwards. So a little tilt, so rock it forwards. That means sticking the bottom out and arching the back. And then tilt it towards you, lift the pubic bone, sit bones will be coming together. So sit bones swing apart as we arch, sit bones swing together as we tuck. And just a few here. Now, especially if any of you have any lower back issues or piriformis or sciatic issues, perhaps just start off quite small with this. It doesn't need to be a great big movement. Be gentle. Just see if it can be really symmetrical. Can the sit bones move apart at the same rate? And can they move together at the same rate? If you have any pelvic floor issues, you could focus on your pelvic floor widening, 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 and then coming together, integrating or tightening as you tuck. Widening, 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 and integrating. Last one. So anyone with any sciatic or lower back issues, I would suggest doing some conditioning work on your pelvic floor and on your psoas. I think both of those things would be really, really helpful. Okay, let's just remove the balls for now and notice back. Perhaps closer to the ground, more relaxed. More relaxed through the glutes, less tension. Okay, now the balls are going to go back under, so bottom up, balls under, this time a bit lower, a bit further down, so that your pelvis can be slightly tilted towards you. So, as if your lower back is kind of hammocking to the ground. And then we're going to fold both legs up. Both up in a double knee lift. Take hold of the top of your right knee with your right knee with the right hand. Actually, I'm going to do my other side. I'm going to do left knee holding onto, or left hand holding onto left knee. My right hand is going to go on my belly. And I want the belly to be totally relaxed as we're doing this exercise. Slowly tap the right foot or the toes of the right foot to the floor, but keep your belly relaxed. And then slowly return. Let's try 6 of these. So can this be the easiest movement ever? I want you to feel that you are doing nothing. We have a really deep muscle called the psoas, or the iliopsoas. It's 3 muscles that work together. And they actually live on the spine. They attach onto the spine. They're much deeper than your abdominal muscles. And they live behind the organs. So if we can keep the abs relaxed and the spine stable, it means that your psoas is working to stabilize your spine. We'll do about 6 of these. The piriformis and the psoas, or the psoas major, they can kind of be antagonists. So one of the reasons that I want to strengthen the psoas is that it might just help the piriformis to release a little bit. The piriformis is the muscle that attaches the spine to the leg at the back of the body. And the psoas major and iliacus, which is another part of it, is the muscle that attaches the spine to the leg at the front of the body. So if we can just adjust the balance between the two, it should really help. Okay, so we could just stick with just the bent knee. If you feel that you can go up a level, you do a bicycle. So you slowly lower a straight leg down to the floor, but keep your abs relaxed. And then we bend the knee and fold it all the way back up again. So can your abs be soft? Can they be squishy? We'll do about 6 of these, 5 or 6 of these. It can be very challenging to switch the abs off, which is probably an indication that they work a little bit too hard. So that was definitely my case. I had to train myself to relax my abs. I know it can feel quite counterintuitive. Okay, lovely. So we'll do about 6 of these. One way to tell that your tummy is relaxed is it moving up and down as you're breathing? Okay, about 6, and then we'll lower the legs. Remove the 2 balls before you do the other side. And then just notice. How's my back on that side? How's my hip joint on that side? How's my breath on that side? So if you did a couple of single knee lifts, is there a difference in how your leg is moving? Well, be careful if you have any sciatic issues, but you could do a little mini hamstring stretch on both sides and just notice, is there a difference? Okay, and then we'll pop the balls back underneath. Remember, they're far enough down so that you're in a slight tuck of the pelvis, and then we'll do the other side. I'm holding onto my right knee with my right hand. My left hand is on my belly, and I'm just doing the toe taps. I keep sinking my fingers into my tummy to make sure it stays relaxed. And really focusing on breath. This is just a quick intro into the psoas. We could do a 4 or 5 hour workshop on the psoas. But it's a very powerful muscle. So just by switching it on, getting it online a little bit more, conditioning it, it really helps to support your lower back. And I know we had a psoas request from Lisa in the Isle of Wight as well, so you should be happy with this, Lisa. So when you've done about 6 of those, you can just continue with that bent knee if you like, or you could do 6 bicycles. If anyone notices that they're clunking as they're doing this, I would suggest taking the leg a bit closer to your midline and maybe not going as low with the leg. So just take it as low as you can control it with no clunk, then bend and come back in again. The clunk isn't unsafe. It's often just the tendon kind of flicking over the bone. But I think just by taking it back a level, you can improve your mechanics of how you're working, get stronger with better mechanics, and then you can start to take your leg a bit lower. And the same goes for if anybody's really struggling to switch their abs off. Then maybe just go as low as you can keep your abs relaxed, no lower today, and then bend the knee in. And over time, you'll get to go lower and lower. Okay, 6 of those. Lower the feet, remove the balls. Take a moment for your brain and your nervous system to notice any updates, any improvements. And then we'll lift the pelvis up. Balls back under in that same position, quite far down. Lift the 2 legs up. Just a very quick pelvic floor exercise to finish. We're going to open the knees. I'm not really pushing. I've just got my hands resting on my knees. My pelvic floor will have widened in this position. Can you close your knees because you're kind of tightening your pelvic floor? Can you imagine that your pelvic floor is going to pull your 2 sit bones together, and then as a result your knees close, close, close. That might take a few goes to practice that. So the pelvic floor can gradually widen, widen, widen. And then can you imagine, it's like 2 little magnets on your sitting bones, pulling them together, 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 together to close. We'll do a few. The pelvic floor widens, it lengthens, it relaxes. And then can it engage to draw your legs back together? And it can be a tricky one, so don't be disheartened if you think, I can't feel anything. That's totally normal. Just takes a bit of practice. And maybe a bit of imagery. What could you imagine? The base of your pelvis, if it was seen from like a bird's eye view, it would look like a diamond. So maybe you can imagine the diamond getting bigger. And then can you imagine the diamond getting smaller, 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 smaller? So it really kind of shrinks up. The diamond gets wider, wider, wider. The sit bones move apart, the pubic bone and tailbone move apart. And then the diamond gets shorter and smaller. Just a couple more. And then when you've finished off your last one, we will lower the feet down, remove the balls, notice back, notice pelvis, notice piriformis. You might just want to wriggle around a little bit. And now take your time, just roll over onto your side, and we're going to come all the way up to standing. All the way up to standing. And there's 2 things I'd like to kind of finish with, 2 images. So one is your sacrum. It's like a triangle or like a pyramid, but it's pointing down. So can you imagine that that pyramid head is just pointing directly down? And there's a lovely image from the pelvis workshop. So those of you that have done some pelvic work with me, you might remember this image. It's like your sacrum is like a keystone. So you've got the 2 pelvic halves and they're held together by this keystone in the middle. So can you imagine your sacrum can just drop into the pelvis like a strong, strong keystone. Almost like the base of your spine can just drop into the center of your pelvis. So that's one image. If we can just kind of stick with that for a moment, see if you can, if that resonates with you at all. And then we're going to take our hands from our sacrum and just kind of across the bottom to the greater trochanter. And I want you to apply a little bit of pressure. So this is where the piriformis lives. And even though it's kind of tricky to get any purchase on it, you can't really feel a massage as such. Can you just imagine that you can scoop out any tension from your piriformis, you can smooth it out, and just give it the feedback or the feed forwards that it can relax. Okay, you can switch off. The sacrum is dropped into the pelvic halves. You can switch off. You don't need to hold on. Just a couple more. And then we'll allow arms to just hang. So the feeling that I'm getting now is that my spine and my sacrum are being really supported by the two pelvic halves. I'm not having to grip with my butt or with my pelvic floor. And that then my pelvis is resting onto my femur heads, the very top of my thighs. So if I was standing here, I'm not on my femur heads and my butt is really, really tight. But can you all have a sense that you're standing with your pelvis on top of your femur heads, on top of your thigh bones? So the thigh bones can really support the weight of the pelvis. And the sacrum can just really drop through the center. So as we're standing, we don't need any unnecessary tension from pelvic floor, from the glutes, from the piriformis, from the abs. Just a really easy, efficient standing posture. And can you draw on that image from our spine class that we've just completed, with the heart being able to shine and express in every direction? This lovely structure of the ribs, flexible structure of your ribs. And then I'd like you to just formulate a little sentence or an answer to the question, how am I feeling? What is the difference between how I feel now and how I felt half an hour ago, or if those of you have done the spine class before, how I felt an hour ago? And I would love to just hear from you in the chat box before we go. So my update is that I feel really grounded. I feel really on my feet. I feel really on my femur heads. My shoulders feel relaxed. And even if there are still niggles in piriformis or in spine, even if we haven't totally transformed that reality yet, it's fine. So it's just to know, and if we can refer back to that UHP class that we've done, a UHP session, it's just one step at a time. And am I moving in the right direction? Am I moving towards spinal health? Kaylee, I feel really loose and relaxed. I had not realised how much I was gripping through my glutes. Thank you so much. And how about pain level, Kaylee? Has that lowered a little bit as well? Yeah, it has lowered and it's not reaching as far down my leg. Yeah, it's been quite bad, hasn't it? So I would say, so fantastic that you've noticed a difference, and just to stick with that, so just allow brain to keep noticing, okay, there has been an improvement, and maybe try this again this evening, maybe even this same session again this evening or something similar, and do some ball work every single day. And psoas work and pelvic floor work, I think, would be really useful. You can imagine they're much more in the body than like piriformis and the other big muscle groups. So if we can just work on that integrity inside the body. Okay, I'm glad that there's been an improvement. And I think there's a couple of you just writing, maybe Karen and Barbara, it looks like you're writing. It's nice to have an hour together. I would do hour sessions. I feel like it might just, I think half an hour feels very doable, doesn't it? And you can fit that into your schedule. But we'll see for the future, because it feels really nice to have all that time together. Oh, so glutes relaxed. I tore and switched my intercostal muscles in February. So banding will really help. Yeah, definitely. And it's just taking your time with that twitched. It's switched. Yeah, just taking your time with that. See how you feel tomorrow. And hopefully nothing will be aggravated. I'm sure it won't be, but it's just tuning in, isn't it, and listening. But yeah, really great. Barbara, so much more dropped in a good way. Although I left but watched the last part, more bawling every day for sure. Yeah, lovely. Thank you, everyone. We'll have a fab day or a fab evening wherever you are, and I'll see you all on Wednesday. Thank you so much. That was really fab. Yeah, lovely to see you, Suzanne. I'm glad you got to join. Oh, you're really welcome.